Hey everyone, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to part 16 of my Logic Pro 10 201 course. In this video, I'm going to use flex pitch to tune my vocals and also correct the timing of the vocals in certain parts. Before I get started, I just want to let you all know that the session content for this course is now available for purchase. There's a link to download this in the video description below. The session content contains 3 versions of the project. There's one where the vocals haven't been comped yet, so you can use this for part 15 to practice comping and editing. There's a second version where the vocals have been comped, but haven't been tuned yet. You can use this for parts 16 and 17 to practice vocal tuning and flex time corrections. And then there's a third version that's fully comped and tuned. You can use this for parts 18 through 21 to practice mixing and mastering. When I made this course, I did it in Logic 10.4.3, so make sure to upgrade to this version or higher if you want to guarantee that the project files work correctly. Thank you in advance if you purchase this. It really helps me out and helps keep the channel running. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure to flatten and merge all of my take folders. So I'll just do that for all of these. There we go. And you can do multiples at a time like you saw I did there. I just selected all of them and then chose flatten and merge. So we're committing to these takes. And let's start with the verses. Click on the track, click here to turn on flex or to show flex, and then click here to turn on flex on that track. It'll do a bit of an analysis. Typically, it'll automatically start with a flex time algorithm, but since we're affecting the pitch, we want to use flex pitch, not flex time. The good news is with flex pitch, you can affect both the timing and the tuning of the vocals, so we can do both. Now, you can use the editor right here directly on the region. I'm not a big fan of using that, so what I usually do is double click. This opens it up down here in the track editor, and then I just click here to show flex, and you can edit everything from up here down here with a bit better view instead. So I'm going to solo the verse vocal here, and if you just double click up here on the ruler, you can start playback.
Tell me that you see it.
So I'm in the key of E flat minor. Hit Command A to select all, and I'm going to pull the pitch correction up to 100%. And you'll notice that some of the notes are a little off the key, like this is the note E flat, but this note is E. The key of the song is E flat. So what I'm going to do is go down to scale quantize here, choose natural minor, and then choose E flat natural minor. So now all of the notes snap to the key of E flat minor. One thing I do love about flex pitch is that it doesn't put notes on consonants. It only puts notes, tunable notes, on vowel sounds. So like right here, there's no note. Right here, there's no note because that's probably some sort of a consonant sound.
Tell me that you see it. Can you?
So then what I usually do is just go through and I manually tune the notes that don't sound right.
See it.
Like that note goes up too high.
See it. Can you see it?
Now the thing is, this note here, I'm not so sure that it's supposed to be fully tuned like that. So I'll just right click on it and choose set to original pitch.
See it. Can you see it?
It's got a bit of a scoop on it. So you can choose to leave notes like that alone if you like.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you
Same thing here. You can right click on it and choose set to original pitch, and it goes down a bit.
feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world. A
This note probably goes down too far. Let's pull it up one.
broken world. A
Well, maybe not.
broken world. A
Let's join these two notes together right here. So I'm going to use the glue tool, because you can see they're on the same note. It's just split them for whatever reason.
world. A world. A
Okay, so I see what's going on here. It interpreted it as two notes because she started flat but then goes sharp. So what I'm going to do for this note is I'm going to pull down the vibrato, which is this bottom middle hot spot or hot zone here. Let's see what that sounds like.
broken world. A broken world.
So this fall off at the end here, you can make more out of that by adjusting the pitch drift on either the front end or the back end of the note. So if I pull that down, it'll make more out of that fall.
Broken world, a broken world.
So this note I'm just gonna delete. It doesn't actually delete the note itself, it just deletes the tuning on the note.
A broken world alone.
Yeah, this note here, lone.
Broken world alone.
So I'll separate this here using the scissors tool and
Alone.
then retune these.
Alone.
So this note, I'm gonna pull the pitch drift up at the beginning, pull the pitch drift down at the end to kind of center that vibrato, but then I'm also gonna pull the overall vibrato down.
Alone.
And then maybe I'll make more out of the pitch drift in the front end.
Alone.
Yeah, there we go.
Alone.
Here's the second half of the first verse.
We got kids with no shelter.
The we got part, I'm gonna just delete that.
We got kids with no shelter. We got kids with no shelter.
This note goes up, it should stay down on E flat.
We got kids with no shelter.
Yeah, da-dun, dun, 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 dun. This part I'm gonna make a little more robotic by pulling the vibrato down a bit.
We got kids with no shelter.
And on this one, let's make the vibrato a little less harsh.
We got kids with no shelter. Like
You know what I'll do? I'll pull the vibrato down, but then I'll make more out of the pitch drift on the front end of the note.
no shelter. With no shelter. Lies from my leaders.
So this one right here,
My leaders.
let's do the same thing here. Pull the vibrato down quite a bit.
Lies from my leaders. Pain from the sky to the sea. Pain from the sky to the
So this note I'm gonna cut to separate it.
pain from the sky to the sea.
This note, you can see that the actual pitch is much higher than the note itself. I'll just delete this note and let the natural scoop up to the B flat happen without any pitch correction.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
This note here needs to be joined. Actually, all three of these notes need to be joined. So once again, I'll use the glue tool, glue those together. Let's go ahead and retune that. By the way, you don't have to actually go over here and adjust the pitch correction. You can double click on a note and it'll center its pitch. Here's another note that I'll glue together and double click on.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
Much better. Let's tune up this top note up here.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
So this note, you can see it kind of starts high and ends low. You can pull the pitch drift at the front end down, but then pull the pitch drift on the back end up, and then reduce the vibrato to make less out of it. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to pull the vibrato down a bit, and I'll do it here as well.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
There we go.
Death with no freedom.
Yeah, this note sounds really weird here. Let's pull it down to E flat.
Death with no freedom.
And I don't know if that's just an error. It doesn't sound right. Let me delete it.
Death with no freedom.
Yeah. So I'm going to just delete it, leave it be, pull down the vibrato a bit.
Death with no freedom. Hearts with no heroes.
Let's put this up on E flat here. And then we'll also pull the vibrato down on these as well.
Hearts with no heroes.
And hearts I may even just leave alone.
Hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me.
You here can be glued back together. Double click on it and then pull the vibrato down a bit.
You and me.
This note, I may cut it right here and then just delete the scoop up to that note.
You and me. You and me.
I may do the same thing here.
You and me.
Sometimes it's better just to leave scoops alone and then just tune the long portions of the note.
You and me.
And then I'll just join these two together here. Double click, pull the front end down, pull the back end up, and then pull the vibrato down just a touch.
You and me.
Now, if I want that note to be a little bit longer, you can actually hover over the right side of the note. I'm going to turn off my snap, and you can actually extend the length of the note as well.
You and me.
So I just want it just a touch longer. All right, so let's hear what all of this sounds like now with the pitch correction. It should fit into the key of the song much better.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone. We got kids with no shelter, lies from our leaders, pain from the sky to the sea. Death with no freedom, hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me.
Okay, so the pitch is good, but the timing on these parts,
We got kids with no shelter.
it just doesn't seem like it's quite where I want it to be timing-wise. So let me try to line up some of these notes a little closer to the grid lines. Actually, these two notes can be glued together. Let's try that.
We got kids with no shelter.
Yeah, we got is kind of fast.
We got kids with no shelter. We got kids with.
It's real hard because the front end of the note may not necessarily be where the rhythmic emphasis is either. You kind of just have to move it around and play it by ear and listen to the backing track.
We got kids with no shelter.
Like that sounds like it needs to be come forward a bit, but this on that bar line sounds like it's too slow.
We got kids with no shelter.
So I'll pull it somewhere in between.
We got kids with no shelter. Lies from my.
Yeah, good. Let's put these two notes together as well. Let's glue those together.
Shelter. Lies from my.
Yeah, some of these you just kind of have to play it by ear till it sounds right. I think the S or SH sound in shelter here sounds a little too long.
Kids with no shelter. Kids with no shelter.
Yeah, let's pull that back.
Kids with no shelter. Kids with no shelter. Kids with no shelter. Kids with no shelter. Lies from my leaders.
That sounds late. Let's pull it forward. And this is, again, a tricky part because here's sort of the front end emphasis of the note, but the L from lies actually comes before the bar line. But when we move this over, it also affects the notes before it. So you kind of have to be mindful of the notes before notes that you pull forward.
No shelter. No shelter. Lies.
Like that's a little too fast now.
Shelter. Lies from my leaders. Pain from the sky to the sea.
Pull that forward a bit.
Lies from my leaders.
This can come back a touch. This can come back a touch. That can come back a touch as well.
Lies from my leaders. Lies from my leaders.
Pull this forward a bit.
Lies from my leaders. Pain from the sky to the sea.
So now that sounds like it's behind. Play around with the timing there.
From my leaders. Pain from my leaders. Pain.
Much better.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
And again, the note, the tunable area of the note's here, but the front end of the note is right here. So you kind of have to just gauge that.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
That one sounds okay.
Pain from the sky to the sea.
This note right here,
To the sea.
the. Let's see if we pull that up a step.
To the sea.
Yeah, I like that better. To the sea.
Sky to the sea. Death with no freedom. Hearts with no heroes. Death with no freedom.
Let's pull this forward just a touch.
Death with no freedom. Hearts with no heroes. Baby, it's just you and me.
Yeah, the rest of that sounds good.
Baby, it's just you and me.
What I'll typically do is, for pop music, after I go through and tune up the vocals, I will select all, and I'll pull the vibrato down on all of the notes even a bit more, just to sort of level them out and give it that sort of modern pop vibe, that modern pop edge. I don't want to do it too much because it just sounds like a trashy sort of auto-tune sound. But let's give this a listen now.
Tell me that you see it. Can you feel it? Can you hear it call your name? It's a broken world alone.
That note kind of bothers me. Let's go in here and tell you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to scoop up to this note. I'm just going to delete this. And then I don't know if I'm going to tune this or not. Let's tune it real quick. Yeah, that sounds much more realistic that way.
It's a broken world alone.
All right, so off screen, I got the second verse finished. I just went through the same process of tuning the notes, adjusting the vibrato where necessary, adjusting the pitch drift, and the timing where necessary.
It's just a tragedy. You want it all, but you can't break free. You're losing time when you're wasting lives. Your karma's on the line. We got kids with no future. Lies from our leaders. Pain from the sky to the sea. A world torn asunder with hate for our brothers. Baby, it's just you and me.
Okay, so next up is the chorus. So adjusting the rhythm of one vocal with flex pitch is not that difficult, but trying to align the timing of multiple vocals with flex pitch is really difficult. So what I'm actually going to do is turn on flex time for these two. I'm going to go with monophonic for these, since they're just one note at a time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the bar snap completely. So typically what I do is create a starting flex marker, and then in between each of the phrases, I'll create another one, kind of just as an anchor, as like a placeholder. And then I'll do the same thing at the end, just so when I move the flex markers around, or the transient markers around, they don't make the entire performance go out of whack timing-wise. So I'm just going to kind of use my ears and then also eyeball things to try to align up these different words.
Please tell me how. Please tell.
And it's not a perfect process either. You kind of just have to go through and eyeball things, look at the waveform, and try to match up the like areas of the waveform. Just like that.
Please tell me.
And this can probably come a little shorter here.
Please tell. Please tell me how.
And then also the tail end of the waveforms. There we go.
Please tell me how. Please tell me how. When all the world is lost.
So I'll align those up just like so. And I'm kind of using the top one as a reference, although I am still moving the top one a bit. I am using the bar lines a little bit as a reference, but like I said before, vocals, you can't trust the waveform as a transient marker like you can with drums. There's a lot of wiggle room in where you place the note.
When all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
Like right here, this isn't the front end of the note. This is the front end of where the energy of the note is, even though the consonant of the note starts slightly beforehand. Let's pull that up a bit. This is way off, so let's pull that back, pull this one forward. And then this is all just vibrato. And I'll just sort of match up the back end of the note as well. There we go. Let's listen to this whole first phrase here.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
There's two spots that sound weird right here.
Tell me how.
The H in how sounds kind of weird. Let's maybe pull this back a bit. Let's try that out.
Tell me how.
I feel like the right one's coming in sooner.
Tell me how.
That's better. And then right here, this note.
Lost.
Lost.
Lost. Lost.
Let's listen to them individually.
Is lost. Is lost.
So it's like this part right here is right on the bar line.
Lost. Lost.
Let's pull this one back a bit.
Lost. Lost. Lost.
I feel like this note needs to be up there.
Lost. Lost. Lost.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because some of these she's singing pretty precisely and others she's singing kind of lazy, a little more lazy.
There's lost. There's lost. There's lost.
Like she's flat on the note already.
Lost.
It's a little better.
There's lost. There's lost. We're losing ground.
All right, so off screen, I lined up the rest of the chorus vocals. Again, the tuning isn't perfect yet, but the timing is pretty damn close.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. We're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
So what I'm going to do now is just render these in place. I'm going to click on each of them, hit Control B to bounce in place. I'm not going to include audio tail. I'm not going to include volume and pan, and I'm going to bypass the effects plugins. So render that one, and I'll do the same for the second vocal. There we go. And I can delete these. There we go. And we can commit to those timings. Now what I can do is go back, turn on flex again, but this time I'm going to turn on flex pitch. And I'm going to go through and fix up the tuning for the vocals. All right, so I've gone through and I've tuned up both of the chorus vocals. Let's give this a listen with the music.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
One quick thing here. You can adjust the timing of two tracks together just using the editor out here. Like for instance, this section right here, I want to make this word longer.
There's lost.
I want it to be lost as opposed to lost. It's just a little too quick. So if you, it's kind of hard to get unless you're really zoomed in. If you hover on the left or right side, you can still affect the timing of these notes. Let's try this one. Let's pull that out a bit. Pull that out a bit. Let's give that a listen.
World is lost.
Maybe a little too quick on the 16th note there, so we'll pull that back just a touch.
World is lost. We're losing ground. There's no There's no way back to salvation. We're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
And there you go. So the last thing we have to worry about are the harmonies down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these harmonies off screen, and I'm going to match up their timing and tuning with the lead vocals on top here. So this is going to take a bit of time, so I'm not going to do it on screen, but it's essentially the same process we've been doing. Tuning the vocals, adjusting the timing. I'm going to try to do it with flex pitch alone without bringing flex time into it. And one thing I'm going to do, just so I have separate clips, is I am going to separate these just like so, because I don't want the tail end of this note affecting the front end of this note way over here. So if I separate these, that will not happen. There we go. And so I'll just go through and tune and time correct these as well. So just for an example, here's one of the backing harmonies, the very first one. I tuned it up, adjusted some of the timings, but the very last note is really long compared to the lead vocal.
We're losing ground.
If we just pull this back, we can match it up better with the lead vocal.
We're losing ground.
And there you go. So for the very last harmony we did, the very bottom harmony that was like a fifth, I did something a little bit different with it. Here's what it sounded like before.
Losing ground.
The falsetto octave already ends on this D flat, E flat idea. So what I did was tune these up to E flat, pull up the pitch correction, and then what I did is I pulled these notes down to B flat, and then I went losing ground. So I cut this note in half here at the bar or at the beat line, pulled it down to B flat as well. Retune these. And then pulled the vibrato down to 60%. So it sounds like this. It'll sound like a little glitchy by itself.
Losing ground.
Just pull this note forward a little bit.
Losing ground.
And then let's match that up with all of the other harmonies and the lead.
We're losing ground.
Just pull this back a touch.
We're losing ground.
So it actually lands on a fifth as opposed to just landing on the octave like the high falsetto vocals. Then we're just doubling the vocal for no reason. All right, so I've got all of the vocals in the chorus tuned and harmonized. Let's give this a listen.
Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground. There's no way out. There's no way back to salvation. We're losing ground. Please tell me how, when all the world is lost, we're losing ground.
So the next thing I'm gonna do is just drag over all of my chorus here, make sure I'm in bar mode, make sure I'm in relative value, option click and drag this all over to the second chorus. So we have vocals in the second chorus as well.
Please tell me how.
And then what I'm gonna do is just join all of these together. Just drag over all of these and press J. And what this will do is it will join each one of these per track, effectively not just joining the regions together, but also effectively rendering all of the flex edits into a new audio file. I don't like to get into the habit of leaving flex edits up. I like to render all of them into new regions because otherwise it eats up a bunch of extra CPU power that you could be using for other things, especially as we get into mixing. All right, so they're all joined together. All I have to do is go through here and just turn off flex pitch on all of these, and we're good to go. So just a reminder that you can purchase the session content for this course via the link in the video description below if you'd like to work along with the last 7 tutorials in this course, or you can just use it to practice mixing. As always, you can check me out on social media at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and if you'd like to make a monthly donation to the channel, you can check me out on Patreon as well. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.